Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and this is our weekly. Well, it's supposed to be weekly. I mean, it's literally been every other week for the past 2 months. But this is our TV news. We're talking about renewals, cancellations, pilot orders, all that kind of thing. Obviously, I mean, usually I have a format here, and the format's still there for the most part, but I am going to put something up front because there's clearly one topic that is going to have to be up front, given how much it's affecting absolutely everything that's going on right now. Now, YouTube do not like the name of this thing as far as letting videos continue to be monetized, so we will have to avoid saying the name of it, but I'm pretty sure you're all aware of something that's going around right now that's, leading to a lot of cancellations of sporting events and movies being delayed and all that stuff. It is also affecting TV shows. In fact, I literally, looking through the news, the first because I always start from today and go backwards. The first, 3 or 4 days worth were pretty much all news stories about shows being put on hold in terms of production and stuff like that. Luckily, Deadline compiled a list, which I can just quickly read off for you, just saying all the shows.
How nice of them.
So here's all the shows that have suspended production because of the, I'll just say, epidemic.
What I was going to say is that if you read the name of it, you can read it to the tune of "Come on, Eileen." So I feel like we should just refer to it all from now on just as Eileen for the rest of this episode.
Okay, fine. Eileen. The Eileen virus.
Yeah, we just blame Eileen, and then, yeah.
Yes. So here's all the shows that have stopped production because of this. So some of these you won't know. Just let me go through them. All Rise, American Ninja Warriors, The Amazing Race, Batwoman, Bull, Card Sharks, Charmed, Chicago Fire, Chicago PD, Chicago Med, Claws, Dynasty, FBI Most Wanted, The Flash, General Hospital, God Friended Me, Grey's Anatomy, Jimmy Kimmel Live, Law & Order SVU, The Late Show with James Corden, Late Night with Seth Meyers, The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. My God, I've got a different name for these goddamn late shows. Nancy Drew, NCIS Los Angeles, NCIS New Orleans, New Amsterdam, The Price is Right, Riverdale, Supergirl, Survivor, The Bachelorette, The Brides, The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon and Young Sheldon. That is the network stuff. And then on cable, we have Atlanta, The Daily Show with Trevor Noah, Euphoria, Fargo, Fear the Walking Dead, Genius, Aretha, Lights Out with David Spade, Pennyworth, Queen Sugar, The Righteous Gemstones, Snowfall, Snowpiercer, Why the Last Man Can't Catch a Break. And then streaming shows, we have Angeline, that's from Peacock. Carnival Row, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, The Flight Attendant, For All Mankind, Foundation, Grace and Frankie, The Good Fight, Lizzie's Story, Little America, Lucifer, Mankind, The Morning Show, Mythic Quest, Russian Doll, Rutherford Falls, Sea, Servant, Sex Life, Stranger Things. Those are all the shows that have halted their production.
A couple of things to add on to that. You mentioned a couple of specific Netflix shows in there, but I know Netflix have just said anything that shoots in the US or Canada has been completely suspended. So that's probably a lot more than what's on that list.
Yeah, but they're not specified what those are.
No, and I know the same for, there was a few CW shows in there, but not all of them. There are an unspecified number of extra Warner Bros. Shows that are suspended as well. So there's probably more.
Like, the point is everything's stopping, right? I mean, the whole point of reading that out was to show just how it's everything. Literally everything is stopping. A couple of things recorded, like a couple of the late night shows, I think they did like 1 or 2 episodes, each of them with no audience, and then they've just stopped doing that. They're like, okay,
decided this is sad, let's move on.
Yeah, well, it's not even just that. I think there's a point where even just having all the staff in to do it is like at the point where they don't want to risk anything. So this is affecting sport. The NBA, the NHL, they've suspended their seasons.
I'm devastated about the English football situation.
I don't care.
Let me just show you why I care, because at the moment they are postponed indefinitely, the leagues, but realistically, there's a good chance they'll be cancelled and the seasons will be voided. My hometown that I support, at the top of their league, going for promotion, and then the city I live in now, also at the top of their respective league. So, yeah.
Pretty much all the movies for the rest of March after the what came out this weekend have been delayed. Most of the things from April have been delayed.
Yeah. At least all the big ones, right?
All the big ones. Some of the smaller ones, though, because I was seeing some titles that I didn't even recognise being delayed. So one of the weird things about this is that a lot of these delays are kind of assuming they're delaying everything at least for a month. But that doesn't necessarily mean that everything will be back in a month. That just means that that's the first, like, sort of hopeful time period where they hope that things will have calmed down.
It's interesting because movies, obviously, okay, well, you can't just slot them in a month later because there's already movies scheduled for them.
No,
so they've had to get creative.
Most of the movies that have been delayed do not have new dates. One or two do, but most of them don't.
Yeah, I can think of 3 with new dates.
Fast 9 just slotted into what Fast 10's date was. That's literally what's happened.
Yeah, and then Bond got in there early, so that's going to November, and then Peter Rabbit 2, I think, also got in pretty early, and that's going to August.
Everything else, Quiet Place 2, Antlers, Mulan, New Mutants, amusingly. Reset the clock! New Mutants has been delayed again.
And so that classic, the Watchmen panel, it's in 5 minutes, X will happen. It's whatever year. It's just the same over and over again.
Part of me thinks it would almost be funnier, though, if that was the only thing that didn't get delayed, is if they said, no, we'll just put it out even though no one can go to the theatre to see it. We'll put out New Mutants when no one else can see it.
Yeah, I'm telling you, they should just throw it on Disney Plus, and especially with the European launch about to hit, just go for it, because you might as well at this point.
So it's affected everything. What's so weird about this is that it's very. I mean, the TV side of this is very reminiscent to the writer's strike in a lot of ways, although obviously not through choice, and hopefully not as long, because hopefully this is just a case of, after a few weeks, maybe there'll be a vaccine, maybe just the growth will stop and they can.
Yeah, I mean, vaccine's a bit ambitious, given how long testing takes, but okay, sure.
Yeah, but apparently the US are skipping animal testing and go straight to humans. Nothing can go wrong there.
Even that takes like 6 months minimum.
The point is everyone's hoping that this will be over relatively quickly, even though
probably won't.
Well, this is the weird thing: is what happens if this is 4 months or 5 months? Like, what if this is like till the end of summer? Because obviously one of the theories is, of course, is that when we get to summer, the temperature rise will actually help.
Kill off Eileen.
Kill off Eileen, yes. Which makes sense. I don't know if there's been testing with it to confirm that heat would actually affect it in that way, but
I think it's mostly wishful thinking at this point, but it could be true.
Yeah, I mean, it may be true. Maybe at the very least, maybe it'll stop it from surviving on surfaces. Because I think right now, on a flat surface, it survives for 5 days. So maybe at the very least,
depends on what the surface is made of. But yeah.
Yeah, but typically shiny surfaces, it's 5 days. Presumably, fabrics are more than that because,
Yeah, I know. Like stainless steel and plastic are like some of the longest things.
Yeah. So, maybe that's what the heat helps with. Maybe it doesn't linger in places.
Maybe.
I mean, if someone comes up and coughs in your face, I'm sure that'll still spread. But
you're probably still screwed. Yeah.
But
obviously, various countries are taking various measures.
It's pointless talking about it because they're ramping up literally Thursday to Friday. In fact, Wednesday to Thursday and then Thursday to Friday, the measures were doubling and tripling from day to day. So I feel there's no point, because by the time this goes up, because this is going to be another day or two before this news goes up, by the time this goes up, I guarantee you any talk we have about anything else or what the countries are doing will be irrelevant.
I know, it's quite funny. Just you're saying will be outdated by the time that goes up. There was a news show last night who did like a graphic of, these are all the measures the countries are taking and showing which ones are quote unquote slacking. And by the time they'd finished the story on the graphic with the chart, there was 2 other countries that needed to be added on.
Yeah, that's just where we are. Everything's moving very quickly. Everything is reacting. And I compare this to the writer's strike. Of course, this is much bigger than that because it's affecting everything and not just creative things, and it's obviously much more serious. I mean, the writer's strike, while obviously we cared, ultimately it's about disputing pay. This is far more serious because this is affecting people's lives and people are dying. So like, obviously, yeah, it sucks that a lot of our things we like aren't happening for a little bit. It's, it sucks that certain things are being delayed. I enjoy AEW wrestling, and that's going to have some sort of weird, like, crowdless show for the next few weeks, which will be weird, but it's just...
Until one of the wrestlers gets it, and then it's never mind.
Sure, yeah. But...
Because, I mentioned the English football leagues. Thursday night, they put out a statement going, everything's going ahead as normal this weekend. Nothing's wrong. And then 3 hours later, like, one of the top team managers was confirmed with it. And then Friday morning, it was like, guess we're postponing everything. See you all.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of that might be to what type of people travel and all that. Because the percentages of people who have it that just travelled somewhere is vastly outnumbering the people who didn't travel. And even the next percentage up, which is people who have come into contact with people who travelled, is the next highest percentage. And then there's just a small fraction of people who have gotten it kind of, tangentially.
Community transmission is what it's called.
So, we'll see. I don't know. Be a weird couple months. I think that's for sure. I think certainly the rest of March and probably most of April are going to be kind of weird and quiet for a lot of things. Now, the weird thing about this, though, compared to the writer's strike, of course, is that we're not actually going to see the effects of this in terms of our content for a while, because obviously everything that's coming out just now has been completed.
Yeah, I think you'll see it on network TV first.
Obviously, yeah, because they're much closer. They're much closer to their air dates.
4 6 weeks ahead.
Yeah, so... But, like, Westworld Season 3 is about to start. That's done. Like, we don't have to worry about that. That's going to be on. And
honestly, I was surprised Fargo wasn't finished already when you mentioned that on the list.
Yeah, that is actually kind of surprising. I can see that premiere date getting pushed because of that, actually.
Yeah, I honestly would have just assumed that was long done by now. If that was, that was airing in like a week or 2 weeks, whatever it is.
Yeah, I wonder... I mean, it's entirely possible when they say it's halted production. Like, it could be a case of halted post-production because maybe wherever their post-production office is somewhere where someone's tested positive, and that's why they've shut that down. But it's not. But at the same time, though, I completely buy that they were still shooting maybe the last couple of episodes right now.
It's plausible. It's not like unheard of. It's just less common on cable shows.
Yeah, but then you got some big actors in a show like that, and you have to work around schedules. There's a lot of reasons why they might still be shooting. So. Yeah, it's going to be a weird couple months. Obviously, everyone stay safe, wash your hands, don't touch your face if you're outside with people and
binge
stuff.
Watch tons of TV if you get told you have to stay inside.
Yeah, binge watch, listen to some podcasts from your favourite YouTube and podcast people, namely us.
Yep, Eileen ain't stopping our content.
Well, unless someone gets it.
Well, I mean, see how bad it is first. We're healthy young people. We'll just shake it off.
I mean, I'm not worried about dying from it, but I don't know if I'm going to be shaking it off and acting like everything's fine. That said, Tom Hanks looks quite upbeat in every photo of him recently.
Yeah, that's true.
He looks quite upbeat. That man's in his 60s. Like, he's...
Yes, but he has the best healthcare money can buy. One assumes.
Well, true, yes. He's a wealthy dude, but, but anyway, so the only other thing I want to mention on this topic is that the other thing that's supposed to be shooting right now are pilots. We're in pilot shooting season, so that is greatly affecting what's going on right now. I have an article here that I'm not even going to bother reading just because I just put it here to remember to bring this up. But that's something that, like, all the pilots that are supposed to be shooting right now have all halted, meaning that when it comes to new shows starting in the fall for the networks, like, things might be a little bit different than normal. Their pilots may just be late, and maybe they'll just rush straight into production. So the selection process for what gets greenlit might be kind of weirdly just kind of rushed and based on hunches.
Maybe we'll have a lot of mid-season pickups.
Could be a lot of mid-season shows. Maybe this will actually be good for shows that were on the bubble, because they'll renew them because they don't have new shows ready. So it's like, no, we have to renew everything so we can get stuff ready for mid-season. So all these other shows are getting like little half seasons to finish. Like, you can have one more half season because we're not ready yet.
That could be the case. I mean, maybe there's an upside to come out of this.
It's possible. So there you go. So that is that. So let's go some renewal here. Lost in Space has been renewed for a third and final season on Netflix. So they're getting a closing season. becoming something of a trilogy. We actually still have a few episodes left to do of any season 2. I think what we've been talking about to just get it finished is just watching the last 3 episodes and talking about all 3 of them in one go. So we're still planning on doing that for anyone who's waiting on it. Apologies that's been taking so long, but we do enjoy the show, and the 3rd season is scheduled to premiere sometime in 2021.
Yeah, that's cool. I saw some of the show creators mentioning how this was not like, Netflix kind of cancelling. They were like, no, we always had a set amount of story that we wanted to tell.
And to be fair, it felt like that in the show, and it never felt like it was supposed to just run on and standalone adventures forever. It's always, everything's kind of led into the next thing.
It has. So I mean, 3 seasons at what they're doing, especially the rate they're moving through disaster tropes. There's only so long they can go and keep that up.
Yeah. Impulse was cancelled by YouTube after 2 seasons. This was the Jumper franchise spin-off thingamajig, or just based on the same thing, whatever.
I think it was just an adaptation of the same thing.
Yeah. So that's that. HBO has set a premiere date for the miniseries called The Undoing, starring Nicole Kidman and Hugh Grant. David E. Kelly behind it. 6-part series. It's May 10th is when it's premiere. It was buried in the middle of the text. So May 10th is when that's hitting, so I thought I'd mention that too. So that's basically it for the for that stuff. We do have a premiere date though for Stargirl, and actually this is one of these ones where it felt so long ago that I thought we'd covered this already, but no, this was in the last 2 weeks. So Stargirl has got a premiere date now. It will be coming on the CW on Tuesday, May 12th, but it will air the day before on DC Universe. And they did confirm that some of the episodes in DC Universe will be extended. They'll have some extended bits and pieces, which is something that we kind of theorized they could do because they don't have, obviously, the ads to deal with.
It's interesting that they're actually going that route, though. So they're trying to go, this is the definitive experience, I assume.
Yeah, I mean, the likelihood is that maybe there'll be some episodes where some of the extra stuff will feel better, but my expectation is that the extra stuff will feel like just like extended fluff. That I can see why this was the stuff they cut. It's fine, but
probably it would be interesting to watch both versions of one episode and see what was actually cut and how it compares. Maybe the network version feels tighter and better because of it.
Yeah, or it feels rushed because of it, and the other version's better. And even if one example leans towards one way, like the next episode could be the opposite, because it just depends on the script for that episode. It depends on directing of that episode. It could, a lot of factors here that will vary from episode to episode. That said, CW is very consistent in its mediocre quality, so it wouldn't surprise me if it's a very consistent result because of that. But I mean, we'll see. So that's coming. So that's cool. So a lot of casting news in the past couple of weeks, which I didn't put down, just like I haven't done through all of this casting for all these pilots that are supposed to be shooting but actually aren't. There was a lot of casting for this show, in particular the Brides. There was a lot of casting for the Brides themselves and all that. But the one bit of casting that I wanted to bring up here, because I thought it was kind of cool, is for Dracula himself on this show. If you remember, this is the Brides of Dracula, this show, just in case that wasn't clear.
Oh, yes, okay. Now, I didn't until you said Dracula. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, Brides of Dracula. And in fact, one of the ladies who was cast in it was Gina Torres, who of course was in Firefly and in Angel, the spin-off, of course, to the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer. But the interesting casting that I thought was worth bringing up, not that one, I just did that for the reference, and I like her too, to be fair. But Dracula is going to be Goran Vijic. Yeah, I can't really say his name.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, the dude from Timeless.
Yeah,
the sort of kind of anti-hero. So the villain to begin with, but kind of became more of an ally as it went on.
It was in an episode of Doctor Who this past season as well.
There you go. So he's going to be Dracula, and I was like, you know what? That's not bad casting. I can kind of see it.
I can absolutely see that.
Yeah, better than BBC casting from their version of Dracula.
Almost certainly.
But
Why did you have to go and reignite that?
But you know what? It's all right, because the director of The Invitation is doing a Dracula movie for Blumhouse, and I'm all in.
I really need to watch The Invitation.
You really do.
You know what? I'll tell you what. If Eileen comes to me, that's what I'm doing.
Oh dear. And then a bit of casting. Just because this made me smile. Brett Gelman or Gelman. I don't know if it's a soft G or a hard G actually.
1 L or 2?
1 L.
Soft.
All right, but Brett Gelman has been promoted to series regular for season 4 of Stranger Things. Who is that, you might ask? He plays Murray Bauman, the crackpot conspiracy journalist nut.
Love it.
He grew really close with the. It's been too long now. What was the Russian's name? The one that liked the strawberry slushy. But Cherry's okay too.
I want to say Sergey, but I think I'm just saying that because of devs.
I don't know. It could be though. If it turns out to be Sergey, I wouldn't be surprised. No, Alexis. It was Alexis.
Alexei, yeah.
Or Alexei, yeah. There you go.
Yeah. To be fair, Alexei, Sergey,
They're not even remotely close. They're just both Russian sounding. That's the only connection between them.
Exactly.
Bloody hell. Anyway, so we're on to the show. So I'll take this time actually to thank our patron producers for the month. So thank you to David Short, Alison M. Fordyce, Cindy Palacios, Tyler Hess, and Talking Superman. They are all patrons at the $20 tier and above. But you don't have to do that, of course. You can support us for as little as $1 per month at patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. And for that $1, you'll get bonus episodes of a couple of our movie podcasts. You'll get outtakes and kind of like bonus tangents that occasionally happen, but that we cut out at the shows. So that's what you get for the $1. $5, you get access to some voting rights, you get access to some content early, and so on and so on. So go and have a look and see if you're interested in supporting us and keeping all the content coming, especially during these trying times of Eileen dominating the world.
My job is not ideal in terms of security. Yeah.
Curious, has it been notably quieter in the last week or two?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
It's getting worse every day. Every time a country closes its borders.
Yeah.
Like there was one that happened just after I finished work today. Another country was like, right, well, from midnight Sunday, we're not accepting any internationals. And I'm like, shit. All right, cross them off for Monday.
Honestly, you may get sent home sometime next week. Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, as long as they pay me and do what they want.
All right, comedies. ABC's ordered a comedy pilot. Kids Matter Now is the title of the show. It's a multi-camera comedy from Better With You creator Shanna Goldberg Meehan. Written and produced by her and directed by Christine Gernon. Kids Matter Now centers on a diva boss with no patience for working parents who adopts a baby and has a change of heart, casting her mother of 3 assistant as an unlikely mentor and upending the office dynamics. So the boss hates kids, gets a kid of her own, and all of a sudden is sympathetic and asks for help from the other parents, who she was presumably completely mean to whenever they had, like, maternal reasons
Kids.
to,
Yes.
leave work or whatever. Can I leave early because I got this, my kid's recital is like, no, kids are the worst, how dare you, you stay here.
I feel like every boss is like that, whether they have kids or not, to be honest with you, at least in my experience.
My kids are more important than your kids, get back to work.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's ABC. But honestly, for a workplace comedy, which is what it sounds like, maybe it's maybe a combo of workplace and home, because maybe it'll cut to her at home as well doing stuff with the kids. But
yeah, it's definitely not one that grabs me, but I mean, it could be fine.
Next up, CBS All Access has greenlit Guilty Party, a half-hour dark comedy which will star and executive produced by Isla Fisher, who, well, that's in a while, so that's cool. Written by Rebecca Adelman, who worked on Dead to Me, and directed by Trent O'Donnell, not O'Neill, O'Donnell.
Making up a name there.
Just making it, yeah. Actually, what I saw the O and I just went with the first O name that came to mind. Guilty Party stars Fisher as Beth Baker, a discredited journalist desperate to salvage her career by latching on to the story of a young mother sentenced to life in prison for maiming and murdering her husband, crime she claims she didn't commit. In trying to uncover the truth, Beth finds her in over her head as she contends with the Colorado. The R's and the L's together sometimes throw me. I have to really slow down and go for it. Colorado, gun smugglers, clickbait culture, the doldrums of marriage, and her own tarnished past.
That was a lot of things.
More importantly, the doldrums of marriage sounds like personal life to me.
But
as well as tarnished past, while we're at it. Less or so, but still.
All right, fine.
Next up, Taika Waititi is back at it again. So he is going to be working on 2 animated series for Netflix. Both of which are based on the same thing, I think. So he's going to write, direct, and executive produce 2 original animated series for Netflix based on Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. The first will be based on the book's characters, and the second is wholly an original take on the Oompa Loompas. While capturing the spirit of Dahl's book, both series will build out the world beyond the author's pages. So there you go.
This is cool. I mean, Netflix announced they were doing the Roald Dahl adaptations a long time ago now. It was probably about a year ago. They give us a whole list of.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, I remember there been a ton of them. There was a bunch of books.
Yeah, and I think this is the first one we've actually heard anything concrete about since then.
Yeah, both limited series here. I mean, the fact that they've got Taika Waititi involved says they're going to be limited. There'll be maybe 6 episodes each.
I assumed all of them were going to be limited series, just adaptations of the book, and we'll move on. We're not going to force running seasons and seasons. We'll just move on to the next book. Because there's plenty of them, let's be honest.
I mean, if they actually title it Roald Dahl's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, that could be kind of an anthology thing almost, which is Roald Dahl's at the start of each one to kind of link them.
Yeah, I'm still looking forward to seeing what they do with the witches, because that's my favourite. But I'll take Charlie and the Chocolate Factory from Waititi.
I don't really care about Roald Dahl or Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And I like Taika Waititi.
That's because you never read The Witches.
I didn't know. I'm good. But I like Taika Waititi, but I don't really care about an animated series based on Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I mean, people can enjoy it. Go for it. I'm good. I've other things to do with my time. So that is that. Here's the big news of the week, though. Or it was actually last week's news, but this is clearly the biggest thing we're going to talk about. Outside of maybe Eileen, disrupting the entire planet. But The Last of Us, which there's been speculation for years about a movie, since the game came out in 2013. It was so cinematic, and an argument that I had and a lot of others had for a long time is that the game is so good at telling its story that it doesn't really need a movie. Like, it's already it already made me cry. I don't need the movie to try and do that too.
Yeah.
But here's what they do to try and make me go, but maybe, is they say it's going to be a HBO TV series. And I'm like, okay, you know what, HBO, they do quality stuff. There's a lot of quality. And then they say Craig Mazin, who was behind Chernobyl, one of the best series of 2019. All right. Now, we've done our top 10 of 2019 yet, because we're going to do it when all the movie stuff happens at the end of the month. But Chernobyl will be represented highly from me.
Yeah, it won't be on mine. I can tell that now.
Yeah. But, you didn't watch all of it, so you can't. But anyway, so not only that, Neil Druckmann, who worked on the games, is also going to be one of the writers on this. He's going to be with Craig Mazin, and they're going to adapt the game, and it will be the story of Ellie and Joel. They've said that outright.
Honestly, is my biggest disappointment about this news. I like all of this news, and I'm probably still going to enjoy this show with everyone that's attached. But I would have loved it more if they'd just done, let's just tell a different story in this world.
Well, let me read the official description here for people who don't know what this is. So, the story takes place 20 years after a modern civilization has been destroyed. Joel, a hardened survivor, is hired to smuggle Ellie, a 14-year-old girl, out of an oppressive quarantine zone. What starts as a small job becomes a brutal, heartbreaking journey as they both must traverse across the US and depend on each other for survival. So,
it's actually a story about what happens in 20 years after Eileen.
Yeah, I knew you were going to make that joke. You're so obvious.
Well, someone had to.
Here's the thing. I'm conflicted. I get why you're possibly worried or disappointed that it's about those characters, but at the same time, Last of Us's world isn't that unique, right?
No.
It's not. Other than the fact that the clickers are kind of a little bit unique versus actual zombies or whatever, there's nothing actually that unique about the world. What makes Last of Us is the storytelling and the story of those characters. So there is, honestly, if this wasn't going to be Joel and Ellie, now it might turn out to be something great because maybe Neil Druckmann has this great idea to expand the universe in some way. But typically speaking, the whole point of The Last of Us is those two characters. And the first complaint I had with the Resident Evil movie, before I even saw it, right? Because the movie's terrible. But before I even saw it, the first complaint I had is why is this some character named Alice? Why isn't this just the story of the game? And the argument at the time from the director was that, well, if I just based it on the game, you would know what was going to happen. I'm like, yeah, because people care about that when you base a movie in a book, you prick, right? So I don't think there needs to be a TV show or a movie or whatever, The Last of Us. I think it works. But here's the thing, if they can take the story and instead of having the game add to its storytelling by the interactive elements to it and by making us like care as a player because we're playing as Joel, and I could write an essay on like how it does that with Joel. But if they can transition to a TV show and have the strengths of TV storytelling work for it and be the best version of it can be in a TV format, then I can see it being pretty great. And when I think of like Chernobyl specifically, and I think of like how it handled the horror of the radiation, and I think of how it handled the details, it was so detail orientated. Like I can see that in this, and given how the game is split up as well, I can easily see it split into like a 10-episode thing, easy.
Yeah, I think TV is a much better fit for it than a movie possibly could be. There's no way you can cram that game into a 2.5-hour movie.
Nah,
it's not possible.
The pacing would be completely ruined.
Yeah, I think TV is much better fit. I think, I say I would have preferred other characters in the world. I'm not like annoyed that it's not that. I get why they're doing this, and like I say, they are the heart of what the game is, not the setting, so to speak. The only other thing for me is I didn't really like the direction in Chernobyl that much. I'm the only one who doesn't, but it was something that I wasn't really feeling.
Well, it's
That has
not,
me a little concerned.
It's not the director though who's
Oh, is it not? Okay.
No, Craig
this
Mason
is
was the writer. This is not the director of that show.
Okay.
I mean, you're crazy. The direction was perfect and amazing, and you're absolutely nonsense for not liking it. But it was the best directed TV show last. Well, it's in the top 3 at least of TV show direction last year.
You remembered presumably Mr. Robot, and I'm gonna take a stab at maybe Watchmen.
Yeah, Mr. Robot's what really popped in my head. But there's an argument. There's an argument to be had. So I'm not gonna get my hopes up, even with the names involved. I don't want to be hurt. So I will take a sort of measured approach to this, even though all the signs are saying be excited, because everything is the right things to be said.
It is, yeah.
But
there's nothing to really point at and go, this is a terrible idea because of this reason. And
yeah. The only thing about adapting a video game that is so story based, and this is kind of the problem with The Witcher as well, is that there was such a face and voice for Geralt, and then you have Henry Cavill, and he's not quite that, right? And Geralt's already something. It's like whoever they cast as Joel and Ellie. Like I have a Joel and Ellie in my head, and
I think the Geralt in Witcher one is so unfair, given that there was a book for years first. There was an audio book series where he had like a.
It doesn't matter.
No, but this is so unfair to go. Well, you can't readapt it in a different medium and just it's got to sound like that now.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying, but it is a valid thing to say that for a lot of people, because they played those games, Geralt looks this way and he sounds this way, and anything else sounds wrong. And maybe they get over that, maybe they don't. But there is a thing here where there's a look and sound to Joel, there's a look and sound to Ellie, and like that could very easily be kind of like jarring if like it doesn't quite feel like it's along the same lines, or if it feels like they've went with a different type of actress for Ellie, say. Like all of a sudden she feels completely different.
Have you got any casting in mind?
Not really. There's a problem with Ellie is that because of the age, like you have to like cast someone who I probably don't know yet.
Yeah. What about Joel though? That's a bit easier, I think.
Joel's probably
the first person who sort of comes to mind in that kind of range is someone like Hugh Jackman, maybe.
They're not gonna get Hugh Jackman for
no, but you never know on HBO. The amount of money they can throw around.
Yeah, I that feels like such. It's because he looks like Joel and Logan. I mean, I think that's why people are going to think of that.
Probably, yeah.
It's kind of like whenever Lex Luthor gets brought up, like all of a sudden people start suggesting bald people. Like people can shave their head. It doesn't have to be bald, right? So we'll see. Honestly, I don't know, but I feel like there's a lot of picks that will probably make me go, or what? Okay.
I tend to try and not judge it too much on just this isn't what I thought it was, and actually see what they're bringing.
It's not about judging it. It's just about it not clicking because you're just so used to one thing. Fair
enough. I tend to be able to kind of switch that off in my brain. maybe this is having read so many books and then watched an adaptation and it being different. That I've gotten used to being able to switch it off a bit easier.
Yeah,
over
but
the
books are
years.
different though, because books don't give you a face and a voice. Not in the same way.
Well written ones do.
Not in the same way. It's not the same. Because a video game is literally an actor being motion capped, and the graphics at this point are so close enough to lifelike that like we're seeing faces, we're hearing voices.
Yeah, I agree that the games are closer in that respect for sure.
I mean, to the point where, there's the interactive parts, but games still have cinematography. It's not captured the same way, but there's choices about where cameras go. There's choices about how things are paced and edited. A lot of the decisions overlap with filmmaking and TV making. What will be really interesting, though, is a lot of the drama that comes from the casual conversations you can have in that game, and how it kind of like how you feel one way because you're the player and because you feel like you are Joel and because you feel like you have to defend her, like how they do those sort of things, but in a way that works for a TV show, in a way that feels like it's going to the strengths of a HBO TV show as opposed to a video game.
It is going to be interesting because a lot of the time those conversations kind of just happen as you're traveling between set pieces often in a video game. And you could do that on a TV show and just like, okay, well, you got your big piece, but it'll feel really formulaic on a TV show, I think. So they kind of have to shake it up a little.
Without spoiling it, I'm going to quick a guess at where the first episode will end. I think it ends with them finding out why Ellie has to be transported.
Okay. The very opening sequence of the game.
Yes.
The very full episode?
If anything, I mean, if it's a full episode, it won't be the first one.
No, that's true.
I think they could maybe do that like halfway through the season when they finally reveal what happened. If anything, if they want to expand upon it to that point where it's got a full episode's worth, I could see them like cutting back to parts of it at the start of every episode. I could see having like 5 minutes at the start of episode 1, we get a small glimpse of it, and then it sort of does a little bit each episode until the final moment happens in maybe the start of the finale.
I could see that. But like that's the frustrating thing is I can see that being a fantastic just single episode in its own right.
You can't devote the whole first episode to that because it doesn't give you what the show is really.
No, I agree it can't be the first episode, but I can see it being an episode, maybe like episode like 5 or 6.
Yeah,
I'd be alright with that.
They could play with how that, because obviously in the game it's just all at the start. They could play with like either where it goes or they could split it up and kind of.
Yeah, you have that luxury on a TV show where you can just edit in flashbacks a lot easier than needing a narrative reason in a game.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's interesting, and I'm sure they're going to expand on stuff. I'm sure they're going to. The image that they were putting out with these new stories was the Firefly logo, but it's not just like taken from the game. It was something they've done for the show.
Okay.
So it's just a white on black logo, but it's got like a sort of spray paint vibe to it, where there's like speckles and a little bit dripping. So yeah, no, pretty cool. And Last of Us, if it wasn't clear, Last of Us is like one of my favorite video games. I cannot wait for the second game, which comes out in May, and which conveniently gives you season 2 or maybe season 3 and 4, depending on how much they they give a season per the story. So
yeah, it will be interesting to see how it's paced, in the sense that you could do that game over 1 season, or you could probably do that over 2 seasons if you wanted to, without it feeling dragged out.
Yeah, I'm thinking where the split is. If you split it into 2 seasons, I think.
See, there's a really nice narrative beat that I'd want to end the season on as the cliffhanger, but I think that's a little bit. It's kind of more 2/3 into the game. It's a bit late.
Yeah, but that said, they can always add some stuff. They can add more encounters. They can add more things along the way.
True.
It's always possible. Because the game is split into seasons, and summer's really long, which is why it does feel more like 2/3 of the part you're talking about.
Yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about, don't you?
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. That's interesting. I don't know. Anyway, that's Last of Us. Super exciting, and it's not just like that it's in development. This feels a lot more official. It's not ordered quite yet, but it's like no, they've got a creative team together. HBO is announcing this. They're working on this.
It also helps that it's got a significant amount of name recognition, which can often help push a project along.
Yeah. Oh, I think it's no accident this is announced just before, because I wonder if they're announcing this now because they want to greenlight it around the second game coming out. If that's where the timeline lines up, where we expect to make a decision by then, and like, hey, good news to go along with the game. Everything can sort of synergize a little bit.
Yeah, it's not unfeasible.
So that's Last of Us. Next up, not a lot left, by the way. It's actually for 2 weeks. I guess because Eileen was dominating the news this week, but Netflix has acquired Deb Spera's novel "Call Your Daughter Home" to develop as a potential series. Spera is penning the adaptation for the book, which was published by Park Row Books last June. The story is set in 1924 South Carolina and follows 3 women who have come to a crossroads. The 3 women seemingly have nothing in common, yet, as they unite to stand up to injustices that have long plagued the small town, they find the strength in the bond that ties women together. Told through the voices of Gertrude, Retta, and Annie, Call Your Daughter Home is a story about the power of family, community, and ferocity of motherhood. Sounds perfectly fine for something that neither of us will ever watch, because it sounds like a really dry period piece.
Yep. So, barring someone telling me, "Oh, this had like a particularly strong director or writer that I'm familiar with already, that came in and worked on it and kind of made it what it is," then yeah, probably not interested.
Oh yeah, if they get Refn to make it or something, then maybe I'll. I wonder what 1920s and Refn's vision looks like.
I more meant like I'm thinking of like, A Little Women was not so long ago, and not generally sort of film that I'd really go and see. But hey, get a Gerwig.
I think there'll still be neon. It just wouldn't explain where it's coming from. There'll just be neon hitting buildings and stuff, and it's like, where's that neon coming from? I don't know, time vortex or something.
There was probably neon. Ish.
In 1920, not a lot of neon in 1924.
I mean, I feel like you're getting towards it,
especially in this small town setting that they're going with.
Okay, in the small towns, I'm thinking like, in some of the jazz scenes.
Oh yeah, some jazz signs outside the front of those clubs, sure, but that's in the city. That's not.
Yeah. I'm not saying in the small town. I'm just saying, it's not impossible.
Next up, AMC's given a 2-season order to Pantheon, which is an animated show, but it's an animated drama. It's an hour-long animated show. 2 8-episode seasons have been greenlit. It's from turned creator executive producer Craig Silverstein. So this marks back-to-back 2-season pickups by AMC, which they did for 61st Street back in October. So very interesting, very interesting. So Pantheon is envisioned as an ongoing series. Where's the description of the actual show?
I mean, the name is conjuring the idea of gods.
There we go.
So I'm hoping this is what it is.
Pantheon, based on a series of short stories by Ken Liu about uploaded intelligence, or human consciousness uploaded to the cloud, was commissioned to open a writer's room in the summer of 2018. Yeah. There you go. That's
okay. Very vague and not much to go on, but I'm interested.
Yeah. Hour-long animated show is interesting. You don't see that often.
Yeah, I feel like I would have expected that from like Netflix. They've probably had 1 or 2. I don't know if they have actually, but yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if they did. Whereas AMC, that's not where I would have predicted that.
Yeah. But I'll take us on to the last news story of the week, which is Ava DuVernay's crossed many genres in her career, but the Oscar nominee looks to become Queen of the Dragons, at least in an animated sense. Is this another animated drama?
Two animated shows? What's going on?
Queen Sugar creator is teaming with Warner Brothers Animation to develop Tuti Sutherland's best-selling dragon-filled Wings of Fire books into a high-end small-screen series for the whole family. I'll admit, I probably put this in the wrong section. This is probably just a half-hour animated show as opposed to a drama. I don't think I noticed it was animated. I think I just saw Ava DuVernay's doing Dragon Show. I went, yeah, I'll go in the dramas. Sure. So, yeah.
Do we know where that's coming from? Sorry, I didn't catch.
Warner Brothers Animation. There's no network yet.
Okay.
So, yeah. The multi-continental books initially focus on the different POVs of a group of 5 young dragons who are prophesized to end a decades-long war that has decimated the fictional lands of Pariah and Pantala.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's quite interesting and unique that it's from the dragon's point of view. Usually, I would have expected, oh, there's still a human that's,
Mm.
bonding with the dragons, usually in these stories. So I didn't expect it just to be, oh no, the dragons are the main characters.
Yeah, but I mean, it'll probably still do all the same tropes. Just happen to be dragons.
Probably, but I mean, it's different at least. I'll give it that. I mean, it probably ends up more different as a book than it does as an animated show because you're actually inside the dragon's head in a book, so maybe it's a little bit different.
I would
know.
say it's the same with a new coat of paint, is how I'd describe it.
Okay, the reason I say that is, not so long ago I read a book, a sci-fi book, where you're inside their brain of spiders and octopuses, for example, and they actually, because they think differently, the actual writing is different. The thought process and the prose is completely different. So I do wonder if maybe these books do something with the idea of being from the point of view of the dragon.
Yeah, maybe. All right, but there you go. That was the last news item of the week. So you can let us know, of course, what you think about these news items in the comments. We'll tell you what's coming up review wise. We mentioned I think we mentioned a couple of times earlier, but obviously we have Westworld season 3 starting. This Sunday night it begins, so probably Monday sometime we'll get the review up. So you can look forward to that. Of course, me and Tara are still doing Picard, so you can check out that. We finished The Outsider this week. Kind of a lukewarm finale, but we were kind of really down the show before that finale. So
kind of just glad to be moving on to Westworld on that evening instead.
Yeah, and of course Devs, we finally get around to doing the start of Devs. We've actually just recorded the 3rd episode, so that'll already be up by the time this news goes up. So, but we're working through that as well from Hulu/FX, which is how I describe it. So yeah, some interesting shows to talk about.
Should mention that we won't be covering season 2 of Kingdom.
No. We actually both watched the first episode of Kingdom. That was the Korean zombie show from Netflix. And the reason why we're not going ahead with it is because, quite frankly, I have forgotten everything about that show. I watched episode 1 of season 2, and I was having trouble remembering what plot happened in season 1, who some of the characters were. Basically, to actually talk about the show properly, I'd have to rewatch season 1. And if I'd known that a couple of weeks ago, I could have done it, but...
yeah, that's what happens when a show was 6 episodes January 2019. So, we're looking a while ago now for just 6 episodes.
Yeah, I think some shows will fare better than others, but I really struggled. I was struggling really badly watching that. Yeah. So,
and there was no recap from Netflix.
No, and it's one of those things where I kind of knew halfway through. I was like, "There's no way I can talk about this because I can't say anything about any of this with any certainty." So, so no coverage of Kingdom season 2. I mean, the action scenes were pretty good again. The actual fighting the zombie stuff was really solid. It was well directed. So if you like season 1, I am sure that this is going to continue the trend of being solid and whatever. But
maybe rewatch season 1.
Yeah, yeah, maybe. Honestly, I think it was supposed to be one season of 12 episodes, and they split it up for cost reasons or whatever.
It was always ordered as 2 immediately. Like, it was ordered back to back as 2 seasons. So I wonder if they did know that, and maybe they didn't expect so long between seasons, or
yeah,
who knows?
Yeah. Because if this was episode 7, perfect. But it's not. It's season 2, episode 1. So yeah, if you're starting it from the start now, it's great. But if you're watching it season 2 after this big gap, I really struggle to remember anything. So. Unfortunately, no Kingdom season 2 reviews, but if you do check out the show, let us know what you think. But that is us. That has been TV News. So thank you very much for watching or listening. You can, of course, get over at patreon.com/MailFuzzTV, as we mentioned earlier. You can like and subscribe, ding the bell for notifications on YouTube. Get us on Twitter at mailed_fuzz for channel updates and various other things. But otherwise, that is us. So keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?